Hello and welcome to the 21st Queer Film Festival Mezipatra and to other 8th day of Mezipatra Live, this live stream that we are bringing you every day at 6 p.m. and offering interviews with filmmakers and directors of our festival films and also with important persons of the queer community from the Czech Republic and from the world. And today we prepared 2 interviews for you, one with Andrey Volkashin, which is a director of The Snake, the film that you can see in the block of short movies called It Will Pass. And just to tell you in the beginning, if you need a Czech translation, please go to our YouTube channel. Když budete potřebovat český překlad, prosím jděte na náš YouTube kanál, tady to bude jenom v angličtině. And also, if you have any questions for the director, don't be afraid and write them in the comment section and we will ask him for sure. Also, today at 6:40, we will be having a discussion with the student jury who will be awarding short films this year, so don't forget to watch it too. And also tomorrow we will be continuing with our live stream, so join us tomorrow also at 6 p.m. But now let me welcome and introduce our director, our guest for the night, Andrey Volkashin. Andrey, hello.
Hi, thank you for having me.
No, of course. Before I give you any questions, I would just like to introduce your film. It is called Snake, a short film about a group of children who are doing the usual children mischief in North Macedonia, and also about one gay guy who is kind of an outsider for unfortunately obvious reasons. And my first question for you is, for the audience, if you've already seen the film, you maybe find out that it's shot in a very unusual ratio. It's almost like 1:1 screen ratio. Why did you choose this format of the screen?
Well, it's actually exactly 1:1 ratio, and I always do extensive research on what my style should be for every single film that I have done so far. And while I was putting together a mood board that was partially from my own photos when I was a kid and my cousins, and we had like these Polaroid pictures that are almost a square. And I thought they looked really nice. There was something about framing, well, these kids, in this case, us, in a square that felt very intimate to me. And I was a little bit, let's say, I wasn't that secure about my decision to put the film in 1:1 ratio. But at some point I felt like, okay, if I'm not going to make an experiment with my short film, then I should just take this opportunity and do it. And I don't regret it now. It does take a little bit of getting used to it, but I think it challenged not only me, but the whole crew in a very interesting way. And I guess that would be the reason why.
Okay, it almost looks like an Instagram movie, the same ratio.
Well, that's not the intention, but
almost the whole cast of the movie are children. Can you tell us where did you find children and how was working with them and directing them?
This was an adventure in itself, actually, because I knew I wanted to work with child actors that have never really acted before. And this is I did something similar with a previous film I shot in Macedonia, in another rural region. And part of the reason was because I myself grew up in a rural region that doesn't really have anything to do with cinema or culture. It was just something that we would always see on TV, and it always felt very far away. So when I wrote this film set in a small town with the main protagonists being children, I really wanted to go to schools in this region and just try to find actors that would fit in the roles, just to give them the opportunity to feel what it's like to be in a movie, and that it's not so far away if this is something they want to do in the future. But I guess also for myself, I think working with well, with these children specifically was a lot of fun because they didn't read the screenplay, so everything they did was completely. I guided them into the film as if we were playing a game. So it was, and I think that helped to get more natural performances. I didn't let them read the screenplay as well because I didn't want them to rehearse at home and then make a big deal out of it. So that was, of course, it was exhausting. There was a lot of challenges. Kids get tired very easily, and they also lose focus, which is normal, very easily. But at the end of the day, we all had a really great experience, and I hope that this was also something meaningful for them.
Yeah, they look very natural playing or just acting the part. Are there any? Did you put any like your children experience to the film? You are from North Macedonia. Maybe you grew up also in a village, in a remote village. Did you use anything from it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, part of the inspiration of the film was really a game we used to play with my cousins when we were little. And among many other games, we would sometimes hide in the basement of our grandmother, and we would find these old dresses from our moms and aunts and everything, and we would try them on. And me and my cousins, we were all boys. We didn't have like a single girl cousin. So for us, it was a lot of fun, and very quickly this game. We realized that this game was forbidden, which kind of made it even more fun. And whenever our parents would catch us being dressed up as girls, they would get really upset. And we didn't really understand why, but this just made the game so much more interesting and so much more fun. Of course, we were lucky enough that our parents were never really exaggerating with violence or anything like that. But unfortunately, that does happen a lot in countries like Macedonia, where this patriarchal tradition teaches people to be, boys should be real men and women should be real women. So I wanted to push this experience into a little bit over dramatized situation to see how this would reflect on my characters. So yeah, it started off of an innocent memory, really, but then it evolved into something more serious because I really wanted to. I couldn't take on this subject and not explore what are the real consequences, because my parents were not understanding, but they were not blowing this out of proportion. Well, I have witnessed a lot of, or heard a lot of stories of queer friends, and even not queer friends, who were maybe playing with the wrong toys when they were kids, and then their parents would overreact. And unfortunately, like, beating your own kids in cultures, in rural Macedonia especially, I would say, is still very socially acceptable, unfortunately. So
yeah, it was actually my next question was about like a Balkan macho man, and also how, like, we can see in the film that the father is beating the child because he's trying on women's clothes, and also in a pub when the gay guy, I'm sorry that I'm calling him this, I forgot the character's name, that he's going for the dinner, and he goes away, and the men in the pub, they are calling him names and basically effeminating him. So I wanted also to ask, how is it still like this in the Balkans, like this cult of the macho man, and also queer people? How is it to be gay or queer in this region?
Well, I can say that unfortunately, everywhere I've been in rural, and I travel a lot, so everywhere I've been in rural Balkan country, there is a lot of prejudice against people who just don't fit in the norm, and they do have a very hard time with that. And this is true for more masculine women, but especially true for more feminine men, because of this ridiculous patriarchal shame that men should be a certain way, and it's very embarrassing. I don't know, like, this is not, probably who is not familiar with the region, they maybe this is like a new information, but for us from the Balkans, we all know that this is like so obvious everywhere. And unfortunately, men who are even more feminine, or even like I have had friends who are actually straight male, but are more, let's say, refined or more skinny or not fitting in that like norm of Balkan macho, let's say, and even they are called names sometimes and being attacked even verbally or even physically, actually. So it's very sad, and it's a real problem because people who a lot of people have to learn either to pretend so that they can get by, or move out, go somewhere else. And yeah, even in the cities, I think it's still a huge taboo. There is still very small percentage of people who are accepting of queerness, let's say, and like genuinely accepting, you know, because now people watch Netflix and stuff like that, so it's very fashionable to be accepting, but then it's like also like this fake acceptance that runs around a lot, which can also be damaging. So there is like a very long way for the societies in the Balkans, I would say, to go into becoming really more accepting, and not only of not only regarding LGBT plus issues. There is a lot of insane nationalism going on, insane racism even between people who are practically from the same race, which I could not like wrap my mind around that. So unfortunately, there is a lot of issues that I hope will somehow improve in the future, but I'm not too hopeful.
Let's hope so. So is it not only like having something against queer people, but just having something against people who are not the same as like the majority in your country?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's just speak about Macedonia in general. It's a place where if you're different, if you don't fit in, you have a problem. That's how it is. And it's a small country. People are very close, very family oriented, which of course has its good sides as well. It's not only bad, but this creates a lot of problem for people who don't feel like they can fit in this society in one way or another.
Yeah. So let's hope it will get better in the future. I have also a question about like cinema in Macedonia. I've read that you studied in Bulgaria, in Sofia, and is it possible to also study film or directing in North Macedonia, or the film structure or like the film education structure is not that developed there?
No, we have a couple of schools that are doing good job now, and a thriving film community, I would say. So this is something that, fortunately, in my case, the reason why I ended up studying in Sofia was not because of the fact that I couldn't study in Macedonia. It's just that, well, I mentioned earlier that I lived in Prague for a while, and that was part of my search for a better film school, let's say. So I ended up being accepted at the academy in Sofia, and I moved there, which I must say, with the current political development between the two countries, I almost regret it, but it's done. It's in the past. So still, I have wonderful people there that they're like a family to me, and I would always want to work with them and not pay attention to political bullshit.
Right. We have a question from the audience, so I will read it. Is there any symbolism in Macedonian culture connected with snake? The name of your
This
film.
is a great question, actually. Like in the traditional folklore tradition, that sounds funny. But I mean, the snake is a very interesting symbol in general. I'm very interested in mythology, and so even though it's an animal that people associate with fear and death a lot, there is an older appreciation of the snake which relates more to its it being a symbol of rebirth and also a guardian of one household, of one family. So there is a belief that if you find a snake inside your property, you should not kill it because this is like the spirit that guards your house. And people, even when they were dancing like these folk dances, by holding hands and in line, whoever was leading the dance had like this puppet in the shape of a snake to like swirl like this, you know, when you lead the oro. This is how we call this dance. And this, I heard that it's some kind of representation of masculinity in a sense, or male dominance. So snake has definitely like a lot of symbols. But the reason why I used it in my film was simply because like nowadays people are not really aware of this cultural significance in the folk beliefs, and they're just afraid of snakes most of the time without understanding them. So, and that's how they treat queer people or people who are different in general. So that was my connection to the snake.
Mm-hmm. I would like to go back, like thank you about for answering this question, and I thank the audience, thanks too. I wanted to go back to the cinema in North Macedonia because maybe a lot of our viewers know that this year, or the last year, Honeyland, the film from North Macedonia, was nominated for an Oscar. In the feature film category, international feature film category, and also in the documentary category, which was like for the first time ever that this happened. And Honeyland is a documentary film. I believe that you know it and you've probably seen it, maybe not. But can you?
No, I have. Yes.
Yes. Can you tell us more about like the recent situation regarding cinema in North Macedonia? If it's developing more, or how is the history?
Well, I mean, Honeyland is a wonderful film and really touching one, and I think it says something really important about the world we live in today in a very simple way. It's still too soon to say exactly what are going to be the consequences or the benefits of having this film that was nominated in 2 categories for an Oscar. But so far, like as I've mentioned before, we've had maybe something that I would say like a Macedonian new wave in cinema, and also with this beautiful film by Teona Mitevska that was awarded in Berlinale last year, Petrunia, God Exists, her name is Petrunia. That's also a beautiful example of recent Macedonian cinema. So I think like there is a lot of filmmakers who are coming up with honest, brave stories, and I'm very happy that they're, you know, reflecting not only on reality but also on real character development, which I find fascinating. So I just hope that the trend is going to improve and that we will keep up this trend. And I do hope that we did have like good. I mean, the work of the Macedonian Film Agency has been very important in this whole process because, of course, the fact that there has been an increasing investment in cinema since the last 10 years, let's say, has helped us to get to this point.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any favorite Macedonian film from history that you would like to recommend for us to watch?
Well, this is I really like the second film of Milcho Manchevski called Dust, which is I remember I was really fascinated with it because he really captured this period of Ottoman Macedonia in the style of a Western film. And I thought that was a very beautiful twist on the Western genre and a beautiful cinematic accomplishment. So I know that back then when I was a teenager, when I saw this film, it made a big impression on me. I must admit that I haven't seen it since then, but it was one of the first Macedonian films that I thought presented something that looked familiar in a way that looked very exotic and very foreign, and I really enjoyed that. And it was entertaining, which I also think is important for outdoor cinema as well. I think So it's totally fine if some films are more poetic and slower, and they need more energy to get into it, and it's a different kind of experience. But sometimes I think author film can also be entertaining and fun to watch, and there is no sin in that. So I think Dust is a good example of that as well.
Thank you. And we have another question, and we are coming back to the snake thing. And the question is, was it hard to work with an actual snake in the movie, and how the actors handle it?
It was if we're talking about the snake that is the living white snake, that's a pet snake, and she was so sweet and docile and very beautiful. Everybody wanted to play with her, and during between takes. What was more difficult, and that's kind of a funny story, was the snake that we start with. The very first frame of the film, there is a dead snake. And that's not even a snake, actually. That's a glass lizard that is biologically a lizard, but it looks like a snake because it has evolved to not have legs. But biologically still pretty much a lizard. It does look very strange and somewhat scary. And I found this animal while I was scouting for locations. Excuse me. I got lost with the car between some vineyards in Macedonia, and then I saw this big dragon-like creature in the middle of the road, and it was like somebody had killed it and left it there, or maybe I have no idea how it ended up there, because it was like in one piece, but it was dead and it was in the middle of the road. And I knew immediately I had to take it and freeze it for like 2 months later when the shooting will come. And then the challenge was the main actor who was supposed to grab the snake. He was really, really afraid of snakes, and it was a big phobia for him. So especially like touching the scales, and he was so brave, but he was struggling with it so much. Like after every single take, he was washing his hands and drinking water, and you can see him going pale. And then we need to go again, and he would be like, "Promise me this is the last one." And I would like say, "I can't promise you that, you know." So he was a real hero, and it was really warm during the shoot. So this snake, this animal, as it started to defrost, like all of these like bodily fluids started coming out of it, making it even more disgusting. So like all the kids, especially that guy who was handling the corpse of this animal, was a real hero, really. So that was an exhausting day, but also a funny story at the end.
How many days did it take to shoot the film?
We shot it in 5 days.
And one day with a snake, or just like a few hours?
A few hours, yeah.
So it wasn't that hard.
No, I mean, of course not. It was, in general, the process was quite magical. It was that particular day, because I'm very empathic with children, obviously, so I don't want to put them through too much trouble, because after all, I don't believe in torturing actors in general, especially not if they're children. So that made it psychologically hard for me, that moment when I could see them being so hot and grossed out by the snake, and exhausted of running around and falling down, but I had to try to get what I need. So it was very hard to balance between not torturing them too much, but then still try to get what I need to get so I can have like a decent performance.
And also, you did your own cinematography, right? You had another DOP guy who was shooting the scenes.
Yeah, the cinematographer is called Kirill Prodanov. He's actually from Bulgaria, and he's such a wonderful person and really a great cinematographer, and I love working with him. We've done together a lot of my short films.
Because it was really beautifully shot, like you could feel the summer times, or the light, like very soft light in the scenes, and maybe, so I just wanted to say it was really, really nice. And also, wasn't it hard to follow the children around where they were like running and trying to catch them with a shot?
It was hard, but That's another thing about my friend who was the cinematographer of this film. He never complains. He loves what he does so much that even under like the worst circumstances, he's always like the first one there and just giving his heart and soul for the film. And so I'm sure they didn't have an easy time, but I'm also sure that they had a lot of fun as well.
You've shot mostly short films, or mainly short films until now, and you said that you are preparing the feature film. How do you find it? Do you find it hard to distribute short film, or is it maybe easier, or how is it?
I have not distributed the feature film, so I don't know. I cannot compare to that, but distributing short film is a bit of a challenge these days because there are a lot of festivals. So just figuring out what is the best festival for your film is already a process that takes time, and the budget has to be considered as well because very often nowadays festival submissions are becoming increasingly expensive, and a budget of a short film is usually pretty limited. So it takes a very good it takes a lot of time to figure out where and how you're going to submit a short film. Having said that, fortunately, Snake is traveling and is finding its audience, so I'm very happy and grateful about that. I'm sorry, did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. And do you have maybe any tips for aspiring filmmakers, I don't know, when to approach a distributor or a producer, like during writing the screenplay or during finishing the film, or how to find the best festivals for your film and so on?
So because I lost you a little bit, did you mean just about the distribution, or did you mean in general?
Maybe also in general, just like if someone is watching who wants to make his or her first short film, like any tips as to how to shoot, who to communicate it with, and so on.
Yeah, I guess my first advice would be to anyone who hasn't made a short film or even has made like one and wants to make another. I think watch a lot of short films. That's the way to really develop a good taste for it, because I believe that it's a very specific form of storytelling that sometimes is really like a poetry or a short story, which has a very specific dramaturgic rules and stylistic rules, and enjoy the fact that you can do experiments with it. So maybe don't think about so much like how far you're gonna get with a short film, but think about how creative you can be with it, and just be brave and honest. And then when it comes to distribution, honestly, I cannot. It depends on the budget that people have for distribution. It's always a good thing to know that distribution is a part of the budget of the short film. So plan that with your producers, and don't submit maybe everywhere. Just make sure that you actually really like the festival you're submitting to and are going to enjoy the experience of being part of that festival. So don't just like go blindly on a film freeway or whatever and then just like click and yeah, just know where you want to, what family you want to become part of.
Mm-hmm. I have to ask this question because we live in a different online weird times, Corona times, and you said that you are preparing your first feature film. Is it hard in these days to write a screenplay or to shoot because of the situation we are in?
I know some of my colleagues in Macedonia did shoot during Corona, and they followed all the measures that they needed to. And fortunately, two of my friends' colleagues did feature films recently under these circumstances, and they successfully completed the shooting. It's definitely a challenge and puts additional pressure on a already very pressured environment, but it's not impossible. And as for writing, this is the best time to write, really. Like you have all the time in the world to write and do research. So for whoever is at the writing stage, I think it's just the best time to do it.
And you told me that you are working on your feature film. Can you tell us what is it about?
So my feature film is it's also a queer story. I mean, with a queer main character. It's again set in a small town in Macedonia. This time the main character is mid-age housewife who falls in love with a younger woman and is very conflicted with her own feelings for that woman, having in mind the cultural background and her like how she was raised to believe in what is right and what is wrong, and all of these feelings that are supposed to be beautiful, that are about love and about attraction, and that are, you know, one of the things that makes life beautiful, turns into a complete nightmare for her because of that environment where she is and everything that she's afraid of in herself. So it's really a bit like a drama thriller. That's what I can say about it right now. We're in pre-production phase, considering I'm drawing my storyboard right now, putting together mood boards and looking for co-producers in around Europe actually. So we're still at the phase of closing the budget, and then hopefully from next spring we can go into location scouting and start casting and so on.
So good luck with it, and I hope that you will not
Thank
have
you so much.
any problems shooting in the near future, and that the corona will go away. So we have just a few seconds. Do you have anything you want to add at the end? Anything?
Just thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about what I love and how I think. It's always a pleasure, and I wish you also good luck with Mezipatra, and hopefully again next year you can actually have a festival with you know, in a real theater as it's supposed to be. And yeah, that's all I can say. I mean, stay healthy and sane.
Thank you very much, and everything to you too. Stay healthy and sane too, and hope that
Thank
you will be able to
Try.
go to follow your films to the festivals, not only just like watching
Yeah.
it, that it's being watched, which is also
Exactly.
good. So thank you very much, and maybe next year in person. Goodbye.
Yeah, hopefully. Goodbye.
In a few minutes you will be able to see another interview with the student jury, which will be awarding the best short film this year, and also Snake has a possibility to win, so watch it closely. And join us also tomorrow with the interview with the director of The Young Hunter, a film you can watch at our online platform, Aerovod. So follow our festival. We are still on for a few more days, so don't be afraid and choose the best film you want to see. Also, you can follow our audience award, so rate the film after you watch it online. Thank you very much, and see you in a few minutes with our next guest.
Good evening, welcome to our live studio. As you might know, Live Studio is part of the 21st edition of Queer Film Festival Mezipatra. And every day from 6 p.m. you can watch interviews with our international guests, but also with interesting people from the Czech Republic. And today is my pleasure to welcome here our student jury. So I'm really happy that you have time to be here with us. And we will start with short introductions. So I will actually start with Natalia. Natalia studies screenwriting at FAMU, and she's interested in directing and screenwriting. Is it right?
Yeah, that's true. I'm actually now in my master's program. I just started my master's program. Unfortunately, it's all online, so I'm trying to cope with that. But apart from that, I just finished my first movie that I directed, so I'm kind of in the process of, thank you, kind of in the process of assigning for festivals and stuff like that, so.
Oh, I see. And have you decided for which festival, or which festival did you pick?
I mean, we're still deciding, but there is a big part of the decision is like which festivals are actually going to take place. So it has to be like a practical decision as well. So
yeah, I know. And do you have time to do anything in your free time, or do you have free time at all?
I mean, with school and now watching all the movies for Mezipatra, I don't have much time left. But I try to like go see my family as much as I can, because I really realized that it's important to like spend more time with like your loved ones and not just working all the time. So I'm trying to use lockdown a little bit to spend time with my loved ones.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And now I will introduce Krzysztof, who is studying sound design at FAMU as well. Yeah. And he's interested in sound designing and any other like hobbies, or what you are doing besides FAMU.
Yeah, besides FAMU, still most of the time I'm playing with sound and sound waves. I've recently rediscovered the whole literature thing. It's really exciting again for me. And yeah, but most of the time I spend mainly watching movies or films. And listening to music, doing music, studying music, and sometimes reading, yes, and working, yes.
And the online, because everything is closed down, theaters, concerts. So what did you and do you do any like online sound production or?
Yeah, actually, I'm very grateful that I'm in a post-production studio. So I'm working in a studio, finishing like the projects that are still going on and that are still being shot. But yeah, I don't know how long that will keep up, and yeah, how long will it be? But yeah, I'm very grateful that I still can work in a studio. Yes.
Yeah, I see. And our third member of jury is Isaac.
Hello.
Who is studying international business management at Prague College.
Yes.
But you're also interested in music and writing as well, am I right?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I'm into art, so I'm a singer. I'm actually working on my second album right now, which is really, really exciting. Because of this lockdown, I was able to have more time to really sit down and write some really good content, so I'm excited to put that out. But yeah, I wanted to study international business management just to get the business side of, you know, the artistic field. I wanted to manage myself and maybe some other people and just gain some skills and knowledge about how it all works, you know, the ins and outs of that, and making sure you're making smart decisions and correct decisions for your own career. So music and modeling and fashion and all of that is my first priority, but, you know, school has to come around. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's important to know about funding your project, because like everything in our world is based on funding of public or private. So
yeah, and I feel like a lot of times in the art community, especially in singing, sometimes artists and independent artists aren't really knowledgeable of what they can actually do and how they can create a career surrounding their music. So it's really important that we do learn those kind of skills, and that's kind of where I want to come in and kind of help different artists understand, you know, how to make money off of making music and making, you know, creative stuff. So.
Yeah, I see. So, and my first official question is quite obvious, because how is being part of Mezipatra jury? And I will start with Isaac, and then you.
Yeah, I was a part of Mezipatra, I think the past 2 years. The first year I did the trailer for it, which was really, really fun. It was actually my introduction to Prague. I think I filmed the trailer maybe like a week in from moving to Prague. So it was very much like, okay, wow, this is very different. And the next year I just was nice enough to go see the movies and kind of be a bystander of that. But yeah, working with Mezipatra now is so amazing because it is my last year of school. So I was kind of able to do a last hurrah with Mezipatra. So being on the jury is really, really fun, I think.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
And Christoph, for you, how is
Yeah,
it is?
yeah, it's a big honor and a big challenge as well because I don't feel that much at home concerning the shorter film formats, and it's really exciting to see how a lot of authors cope with the short form. And yeah, it gives me a lot of ideas, and it's amazing. Yes, I enjoy it.
Glad to hear it. And what about you, Natalia?
So for me, it's also a big honor because I always go to Mezipatra like every year. And when I was like, I think 19, I was like, okay, that would be cool if I could participate in this festival in some way. So it's actually a dream come true for me in a way. And I actually find it really inspirational to be able to watch all of the shorts at once, because there are many different topics that I'm not actually thinking about a lot. So it gives me a lot to think about, and also you can see different perspectives based on from the country the creators of the films come from. So that's also an amazing opportunity to see different parts of the world in different perspectives and different problems. So it's really nice, but it's also really challenging to decide and to decide what's the most important thing for me in the film, because for me primarily as I started as a screenwriter, I always think about the characters and if the storyline is okay and everything, and sometimes I have to go through it and I'm like, okay, so maybe the story wasn't that big, but what did it give me? What was it about for me? So it's a big inspiration.
Yeah, I see. And now I have quite a little bit challenging question, because you are student jury at the Queer Film Festival. So what does queer mean for you? And we will start with Natalia, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's okay. So for me, I mean, it's a topic that is a part of my life, and it's always been very important for me. And it was important for me to always surround myself with people who are open-minded. So I actually don't think about it that much because it's such a big part of my life that I find it very natural, and I'm sometimes overwhelmed when I go somewhere else when it's not so natural for the people. So yeah, that's that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. And Isaac, if you follow.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it. I feel you know, growing up, I felt always like a unicorn or something. You know, just something very different. And always wanting to go against the status quo. When everyone's wearing red, I'm wearing blue. You know, I just always felt that way. So with queerness, it just kind of, I embodied it. It just is who I am, and I don't know anything else really. So I think queer just means embracing, and I think it means just doing what you do. and the best way at it too.
Thank you. Lovely answer. And Christopher, you?
For me, it's like I feel it like an energetic thing. It's like this huge amount of energy and of positive energy, and really like the sun kind of energy. But it's still something a bit not new to me, but I'm not in that topic very much, especially in the cinema. I haven't seen that many queer cinema movies as I did this year for Mezipatra, definitely. So it's something very, very interesting for me, and very energetic and very sympathetic.
Okay. Thank you so much for answering this question. And now I will still stay on like general level, and I will ask you if there's any like tendencies in LGBT or queer cinematography that you find interesting or inspiring for you, for your work and for yourself. And we'll start with Isaac, if you mind.
Yeah, I guess what I do like in cinema, in queer cinema, is I can finally see myself on the screen. I think a lot of the times in movies that I enjoy or grew up seeing, I couldn't find myself in any of the characters, and couldn't really relate, or could relate on just kind of a surface level. But queer cinema allows me to kind of relate in a way that I could have never before. So I definitely look into that as well. And I also look into just representations on all aspects, in terms of race and all those different things. Like it is a rainbow, it's definitely a rainbow within individuals too. So the representation on screen I expect that as well. So I'm liking the energy and the way it's going, definitely. We're starting to have conversations that we never have had before. So that's what I love about queer cinema.
Yeah, this opening new debates about representation.
Definitely.
That's true. And Krista, for you, if there's any...
I agree with Isaac that it's like a big energy thing, and it's super important, I feel, because like the movie is like a medium that a lot of people in general can understand, and it's very important to deliver the message via this medium to whoever wants to get it. So yeah.
Thank you. And Natalia, for you?
So for me, I really enjoy about like queer cinema that I can see a lot of like strong, unapologetic like characters, because I feel in like conventional like movies you can see a lot of like relationship codependency and like toxic like relationships. And what I really appreciate that I can see like in queer cinema like strong characters who aren't afraid to be themselves and who actually like think about other stuff than just like partners relationship, and they have to like cope with other important things in our lives. So that's what I find really inspiring, and also like it drives me to like interesting ideas for like my own creation.
And have you seen any of these like in the short film competition? Like tendencies that you mentioned, like strong characters and fluidity of representation?
Yes,
Yes.
And have you had chance to watch anything else besides short film competition, like for example retrospective or feature film competition at all?
I watched the I keep forgetting the name, but it's the Turkish German movie.
Futurirai.
That one was really good. Like I really liked that. I loved the well, I'm a fashion guy. The fashion was great in that movie. The story was really cool, and we also need that story, especially right now, going with everything happening politically. So I really, really enjoyed that one a lot. I actually watched it twice, so it was really good. I like watched it and then couldn't finish the end, and I didn't just want to start from the ending, so I rewatched it again. But I really liked that one.
So, but have you finished watching like short film competition, or you are still in process of watching it? What's the status right now for you?
Yeah, maybe in the process. I think we were talking before the interview, and we've watched most of the films, but there are some that we have to watch yet. Yes, it's in a process.
I see. I know that you are still in process, and of course you cannot say the winner at this moment, but still, do you have any like your favorite 5 films from the short film competition? Or maybe 3, 5, it's up to you. Only one is okay.
Yeah, we actually talked about,
Yeah.
we kind of agreed on something.
But maybe we wouldn't like to reveal it.
Oh, not even like top 5.
But I actually really liked this one I want to talk about because it was really short and on point. It's called Revolver, German film, and I really appreciated how in a very short time there was a great message. It was funny. It was also, there were some like a crime, crime story. Everything was in it. Also like a strong political message for me. And I was actually really surprised about the creators, how they can do it in such a short time. I really appreciate that. So I don't remember the blog that it's in. Probably
On the verge of the nervous breakdown.
Yeah, yeah. So if you want to watch something from like the short film competition, I advise like this blog. It was like all great.
I think I liked, there was one called Hugo that I really liked. It felt like a pilot of a TV show. Like, I really think that they should do something with it because I like the idea, I like the message, and it also showed sexuality in fluidness. So, the main character didn't just like a certain type of person. They liked all kinds of type of people. And I still think in some movies in cinema we don't see that a lot, but I liked it in particular in this sense, and it also surrounds protection and safety in terms of sex. So something that continues and needs to be addressed. So I liked the way that they did that. Yeah, so I like that one.
Yeah, and Hugo 1830, I think. Yeah, that's from if I was to speak about the favorite ones, maybe I would speak rather about the section.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because for me, like a really interesting section was Torn from the Chain, from within the Hugo 1830 is. So yeah, that's up to this moment, it's my favorite section.
But it has to be a little bit challenging because you have to compare like documentaries, but also fiction work, animation, stories about lesbian, gay, fluidity. So it's a little bit challenging, isn't it?
It is. It's hard to kind of just narrow it down to even just 5 or, to 1, It's a lot of topics that are important. But I know for me, I look at just the overall, what does it do for me when I watch the movie? Am I leaving it, wanting more? Am I leaving it feeling some kind of, thought or change from the movie? Although it's a short film, you only have a little bit of time to do that, which is understandable with us, I think, watching it. We understand it can't really go too much in depth, or it can, but only to a certain extent. But yeah, I think that's what I would definitely look into, and I've seen it in these movies.
Anybody wants to add something to it?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like agree with what Isaac already said, that it's really difficult to like choose like which topic is the most important, because I mean all of the topics are important, and it feels wrong to like choose one, and it's probably about trans community, or it's about like lesbian relationships, and then I'm like, okay, but the other ones are important too. So I'm actually kind of looking for the movie which like poses a strong question for me, that's like not question in a way that I don't understand the movie, a big question for me, like, okay, I didn't know about this one, what can I do to incorporate this in my life, or something like that. So and I completely understand that like some filmmakers don't want to be like too political or don't want to be too strong in their like posing questions, but it's probably what I'm looking for right now.
Yes, and then you get to the situation when you encounter two really great movies that speak to you, and but they have a completely different form, and you get to the point when you have to compare them and to really think about which of those two is speaking to me a bit more, and it's hard.
I can see it. But you still have plenty of days to decide which film will win, actually. And now, a little bit challenging question, I would say. But I would like you to imagine that you are a film programmer, and of Queer Film Festival, of course. And there's no limitation at all. You have budget, you have cinemas, you have everything you want. And if you can tell me any title, it could be like short film, feature film, or even television series that you would like to bring to Queer Film Festival.
That's a good question.
Like a new one, like
It can be also old one. It's completely up to you. And anything you would like to bring to Queer Film Festival, something that is close to your heart and it hasn't been screened at Queer Film Festival.
That's a hard one.
That's a hard one because most of the titles I actually know from Mezipatra, so it's already been there.
Well, I don't know if they did it, but there's this movie called Milk about the. Well, I'm from San Francisco Bay Area, so the history about sexuality and gayness and the LGBTQ plus community in San Francisco is pretty dynamic. And the movie is kind of like an autobiography of Harvey Milk, who was, I believe, I'm gonna get it wrong, but he's like he wasn't the governor. And I watch this movie every year, but I actually have a tattoo about the movie on right here. In his speech about saying what does queerness mean to him, he identifies people that are different called us's. So us's need to be together and bring, awareness to certain things and just live our life how we want to. And so I really liked that. So I did the carton of milk for Harvey Milk and then us's there. So I would like to see that. I don't know if they brought it to the festival, but I think that would be a nice movie.
So maybe let me rephrase the question. It can be also like queer or songwriter or singer or anything that you would like to add to queer film program. It cannot be outside like films if you don't find any like films that you would like to bring. It can be like a topic about problem in the LGBT community or any topic that from mainstream society that you would like to touch upon.
I mean, I don't know about like the specific person, but I actually been really interested in this kind of topic, and I also seen it in one movie, and it's about like little kids transitioning actually, and I think it's very like a sensitive topic for many different reasons, and for me, I would like to probably hear like a psychologist talking about it. And how the brain develops, and if it's a good idea to transition in a very little age, or if it's better to wait a couple more years, because I think the new generation of parents are more open to it. They actually like are loving towards their kids no matter what. But I think even if you're open to it with your kid, it has to be challenging, and I think it's really important to talk about it more. So I would somehow incorporate this theme into the festival.
And also asexuality, actually. Yeah. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, I don't think I've seen a movie or I guess socially a topic of asexuality.
I mean, it's been in BoJack, right?
Oh, yeah. Like I love BoJack. Yeah, I love BoJack. But, I don't see a lot of movies or it being kind of like a topic. I mean, I talk about it with my friends a lot about, what about asexuality? And I know a couple people that identify as asexual. So it would be interesting to have that be a topic, I think.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I was thinking about when I was preparing for the festival, I was watching some of the films that I felt like have some kind of queerness in them. And I've watched Death in Venice, and that's like it's an old movie. It's a bit older than like most of the program. So maybe that would be an interesting topic to search for the bits of the queerness in the older cinema, and to bring some of the older films with some kind of queerness in them to the screenings as well. But yes.
Yeah, we actually do it in our retrospective section, where you can find like also, not unfortunately that in Venice, but for example, Bout Travail by Claire Denis, which is also subtly queer.
Nice.
So
nice.
you can still watch it.
Thank you. I will. I definitely will. Nice.
Okay. I don't have any other questions, so if you have anything to add to our audience, anything at all about your experience, about which we haven't speak at all for now, so, or any recommendation that you haven't had chance to actually say out loud?
I think maybe as the times right now being Corona and everything, I think it's also important to give artists opportunities as well, because that is also their livelihood as well. So it is also, I think, in my opinion, very crucial that we do work together and we do create during this crazy time, and we help each other out in that way. So if you have any movie ideas, if you have albums you're creating, if you're doing, visual art, always collaborating, even through Zoom, stuff like that. Although we can't be physically together all the time, just always lending a hand to your fellow artists and letting them make sure they get a bite to eat. These days it's very tough. It's very tough. So keep loving and making art.
Yeah, I would like say something with the same note. I mean, I understand that like being at home all the time is really challenging, and especially for me, it's sometimes like, to be honest, I don't really want to watch anything because I'm like, okay, I'm too annoyed and tired and sad about everything that's going on. But once I push myself, I'm actually so happy that I did it, because I enter another world, I forget about everything. So that's like my recommendation to everyone. Like, if you're not up to it, you don't want to watch any more movies, please do, because it will make you feel better, I promise. But like, you have to start. I know it's challenging and it's difficult and you just want to like lie around and like eat some pizza, but please like do it in the evening. You can support the artist and the festival, and you will feel better. Like,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yes. I had something similar on my mind. I want to thank Mezipatra for happening, because like it's showing that even in these kind of strange times, we can do culture, we can enjoy it, we can watch it, we can create it, and I think it's really important that the festival is happening. And thanks again, it's amazing. And yes, to all the projects that are still happening in this strange era. And yeah.
So thank you for joining me for this lovely Q&A.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And now I would like to invite our audience to watch the live studio tomorrow, because you can watch the Q&A with the jury of the International Film Competition, and also interviews with director Marco Berger. So be sure to watch the film Young Hunter before it, so you have questions to ask. And lovely evening. See you tomorrow.